Hey everyone, welcome back to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. We have yet another interview for you guys today with the band Victory Dance. We've got Kenny and Chris on the line here, but before we get to Victory Dance, I'd like to take care of a little business here. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Positively Pittsburgh Live. That is pplmag.com, Pittsburgh's first internet radio, TV network, online community magazine, and business directory. Go to pplmag.com. Like I said, you are listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus with another great interview, as well as great music every Saturday. We do a new music podcast every Saturday, and a new interview every Wednesday comes out. So you definitely want to check out the website, LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. Okay, and this band that we have on the line here with us today is these guys are pretty new. Now, they've been in some other bands that you guys may out there in listener land may have heard of. We've got some former members from Fancy Reagan and Lady Radiator in the band here. But this is a new band called Victory Dance, and I believe we've got Kenny and Chris on the phone. We got somebody else there too?
Yeah, Bobby.
Bobby. Hi, Bobby. It's Lou Lombardi from the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Thanks for getting on the call.
Thank you, Lou. Nice to meet you.
No problem. All right. Okay. Just when you talk, guys, just say who you are. Just say your first name, Bobby or Chris or, whatever, or Kenny, so everybody knows who's talking. So I will put this out there, and whoever wants to chime in can start. Because it's usually one-on-one, so we got a whole bunch of people here. How did the band Victory Dance come together? How did it get started?
Hi, Bobby talking. Band, well, three of us from Fancy Reagan, Chris and I on the phone, we're from Fancy Reagan, and the keyboard player, Jason. After that band disbanded, we kind of kept the project going on a similar path and auditioned some new singers and guitar players, and we landed on Kenny. We landed with Kenny, which was awesome, much more up the alley of what we were trying to do, a much more alternative thing. I don't know if you're familiar with Fancy Reagan, but it's like a very pop act, and we're trying to do something a little more alternative, so Kenny was perfect for that. We got Are Jay on board as a guitar player for this project, and I mean that's pretty much it. Kenny could probably tell you a little bit more about how his experiences was joining the band, but
so Fancy Reagan the band kind of breaks up, and then you guys want to sort of kind of build a new band around a new singer, and this is where Kenny comes in.
Yeah.
Kenny, go ahead. Wait a minute, Kenny. Give us your take on the thing. Just see when the stories match up.
Yeah. All right. So I'll try to summarize it as best as I can. So a mutual friend of ours, posted up on social media that a pop band, like a pop rock band, was looking for a singer, and they were looking for auditions and stuff like that. And for me, being a singer, I like to kind of challenge myself vocally, and I wasn't necessarily doing anything in that genre per se. And I thought to myself, hey, why don't I try this out? Let me see. It doesn't hurt me just sending something. And so I looked at what the requirements were for the audition, and I thought to myself, you know what? How about I just don't follow any of that, and I just send them like a 4-year-old video of me singing in like my basement. And if they actually like it and it works out, then that'd be pretty interesting. So they ended up liking it, which kind of threw me off. I came in, and 150 other vocal auditions later, they seemed to like what I was doing, and we kind of just all clicked from there. It was kind of nice. It's really the summary of it.
Yeah, I mean the cool thing was, this is Bobby talking again, but the cool thing was we knew Kenny not personally, but from the Jersey band scene. My old band had played with Lady Radiator before, so we had shared a stage in the past. So I was already familiar with what he did, but same thing like he's saying. I knew him as kind of a hardcore, definitely not a pop singer. And so the idea that he was interested was real interesting to us too, and we were excited about that. But we already knew his skills as a frontman and as a lead singer in Lady Radiator was awesome. So it was exciting to try that out.
Well, what were you guys looking for in terms of a singer? Like, what were the sort of criteria in your mind?
We were coming from like a major label pop act. So what we had going there required definitely a really solid, unique voice, which is some criticism that we had of our old band. So we were looking for something with somebody with a lot of character and something really unique, which obviously Kenny is the man and brought that. And we're looking for charisma and a singer who thrives on tour and thrives at a live show and can connect with the audience. So again, Kenny's experience was invaluable with that, and he's the man. Kenny can turn a show with 6 people into a exciting, intimate event for them. So and he can grab an audience of 1,000 people and make it feel small and intimate too. So it's he's perfect for that. Why and somebody else can chime in here, Chris or whoever wants. You guys just feel free to jump in. What you said that that the Fancy Reagan was more of a mainstream pop act, and you guys wanted to be maybe a little more alternative. Can you kind of sort of why? Why was that? Why did you want to sort of change directions a little bit?
Chris, yeah, I mean, for Bobby and myself. For the Fancy guys, that's where we grew up. That's the lane musically that we found most interesting, what speaks to us as musicians and as music fans. And we wanted to play something that we wanted to be in a band again where we loved every song that we were writing and loved the music that we were doing, as opposed to feeling like we were being pushed and pulled into directions that weren't necessarily natural or comfortable for us and for ourselves. And blending what we learned by being on a label and being in a poppier band with those kind of pop hooks with what we prefer musically, which is the more alternative, more rock direction. And then having Kenny and RJ come in, and that's where their lane is too. It just made sense musically and artistically to go down that path.
How would you guys describe the new sound? I mean, other than alternative rock. Can you give us a little more specific?
This is Kenny. I would probably say, in my opinion, I don't know if anyone else disagrees, but I think it has that pop rock mentality with a little more grit. I think if for listeners who are looking for something that's mainstream but yet has a little off-roading to it, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I think it's more of like a totally urban fusion with some folk and some little bluegrass in there. So it's pretty unique.
Who are the principal songwriters in the
band? Bobby, it's our songwriting process is pretty all over the place. Everybody in the band is a songwriter in their own capacity. So our whole EP, every song on our EP has a different combination of songwriters. Jason and I did a lot of the production on it, but everybody has their hands on one or more songs on that EP.
Where did you guys record?
We recorded all in-house. So Jason, our keyboard player, has his own studio because he does commercial music for a living, and so we did a lot of the tracking there. We did a lot of tracking for guitars and vocals at my place, and we mixed it at his and just sent it out for mastering.
So
it's all in-house.
The album's called the Spectrum. How many? This is like an EP though. How many tracks are on it?
6.
Okay. And so it's pretty much self-produced by you guys, and it sounds totally like it doesn't. It doesn't sound like self-produced, like you hear like a lot of people do self-produced records, like they, it has a very professional, totally, ready to go sound. But what are some of you guys can all chime in? I want each one of you guys to answer this question. what is your favorite moment, or what are some of your favorite moments on the new record?
A good question. Favorite moments.
Is it Kenny?
This is Kenny.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Kenny. I would probably say, I think my favorite moment with the record was writing our single, actually, that we released. It was probably one of the last songs that we wrote for the record. It's called Memphis. And I remember when Bobby sent it over to me to kind of see what my thoughts were on it. It was already titled Memphis, and I think it was just solely based on how the sound was. It had this really like bluegrassy southern kind of feel to it, and I wanted to stay within that same realm. And so as I wrote the lyrics and got into that whole mentality of figuring out what I wanted to write about, generally, I mean, people tend to base their songs off of like the title of the song based off of what they're writing about. And for this song in particular, I didn't want to do that just because I really like the name Memphis, and I think just that's kind of how the song was formed. It had that whole feel to it. So after writing it, I was like, you know what, screw this. I think I'm just going to leave the song title as Memphis, as how it originally was formed. And I think for all of us, it ended up being one of our most favorite tracks on the record.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that Bobby?
No, this is Chris.
Chris, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I being the drummer, you tend to record your parts in front of everybody else. So there are times when you hear a song as demoed or as it starts out, and then a couple weeks for Bobby and Jay much of production, and there were new sounds and new things that were on there. This song takes on a completely different feel and a different light to it. So I know with the song "The Climb" and "Cut the Rope," how they started and then how they ended up on the record. It was cool. It was cool to be surprised by that. To be surprised by something that you played maybe 100, 150 times, and to be able to listen to it almost like it's the first time. So for me, towards the end of the process, that was probably one of the more exciting moments for me, anyway.
And Bobby?
Yeah, I think for me, like, doing a record is always an interesting process, but I'm all about our live show and playing live, and a record is, just a means of capturing what we're doing at the time. So for me, Memphis, the single that Kenny was talking about, is the most exciting song on the record because it translates awesome live, and it's like a powerhouse song live. So I was looking forward to playing it. We kind of wrote it with that in mind, of how to execute it in a way that would be really effective. So when you come to our show and that song just knocks everybody in the face, every song in their own right. I mean, the album's called The Spectrum because it kind of covers a wide range of fields, of topics. It's not like a concept record about one thing. It's kind of all over the spectrum of, emotion and personal battles, and there's Kenny can tell you more about each song, but that's where the title of The Spectrum came from, is because it covers that full spectrum. But I think the for me personally, everything that translates live and kicks ass is what gets me excited.
Cool. So let's go around the room again, and somebody is doing something on the phone, making a lot of racket. I don't know which one of you guys it is. If you could calm that down a little bit, would be great. Let's start with Kenny, and then we'll go to Chris, and we'll go to Bobby. And Kenny, how did you get started in music? Like, what are your influences, and what makes you so passionate about it?
Interesting. I started with music probably at the age of, I'd say, 10.
Okay.
And it was weird. I was walking with my mom down the road somewhere to like some store, and I found this record on the ground, and it was from a band called Sick of It All. And I was like, oh, this looks awesome. It's got like a dragon on it, like cool. whatever. I didn't even know what I was even getting myself into. And when I went home and I put on that record, it just grabbed me, like the lyrics, like everything, the heart, the passion behind it, and something about like punk rock, old school punk rock, really spoke to me at that time. I think mostly because of where I was at my life, being so young and just trying to transitioning into like, I don't know. And that was like my foreground for really getting into music. And strangely enough, that opened a lot of doors for me as far as artists go in such a very drastic way. Like I listened to punk rock, and then somehow I found myself getting really into like Nina Simone and Sam Cooke, and I was just really into listening to vocalists and just singers who had passion behind their words. And those three artists alone really kind of connected and stayed with me.
Go ahead, Chris.
I got an early start. My father played drums, and he pretty much put me on class at like 2 years old, put sticks in my hand, and that was it. It was races and playing in bands and art direction. Bobby and I actually met in high school, and we've been playing in bands since we were like 13 years old. So he and I have been doing this together for a very long time. And musically, because I got into it so young, I've been able to dabble in a lot of different genres: jazz, country, pop, metal. But home is definitely in alternative music, and the Thrices and Silverchairs of the world is definitely where I'm most comfortable.
Cool. And go ahead, Bob. How did this all music thing come into your life?
I got into music, I guess. Well, I'm a grunge baby, 90s Nirvana, SDP, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains. That's like what I learned to play guitar on and what I did for a decade. Silverchair was one of my favorite bands of all time. And like everybody else, I branched out from there, went to school for music and exposed to classical music and jazz and whatnot. So branched out from there, but more modern stuff that like influences me now, at least as a bass player. I'm like a diehard Muse fan. Like what they do as far as theatrics and sonically is kick ass, and I'm a big fan. The same as far with what's their name? Mars Volta, Juan Alderete.
Oh yeah.
He's the man at just taking a bass and making it into a new instrument, and that's always been an inspiration to me, just making big sounds. And so that's a big influence on how I approach it for us too.
So the Spectrum is out. Singles, it is out, correct? Your EP is out, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And so what's coming up here for you guys in the next 6 to 12 months? You guys going to do any touring? What's going on?
Chris, you want to take that? Okay.
Yeah, this is Chris. We are touring at the end of April. We're doing we might actually add a show, so it would be 8 shows in 9 days. Tentatively Nashville, and then Chicago, Battle Creek, Michigan, Columbus, Akron, Indianapolis, Baltimore, Philly, and then we're ending it with a home show in Hoboken, New Jersey at Maxwell's. And then, besides that tour that's booked up, I mean, the goal for the next 6 months is getting the EP out there, getting groundswell, playing as many shows as we can, hopefully getting some placements. We're working with a couple different television companies to try and get the song on air, and then pushing the record and creating as big of a fan base as we possibly can, and use whatever connections we made while we were all on different labels, and trying to take this project past whatever our previous successes were.
Do you guys have a record label supporting you?
No, this is Chris. No, not right now.
No, not right now. Okay. Is that something though that you're kind of trying to possibly get the attention of a label? Because you guys have been like, Fancy Reagan was signed, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something you guys want to do, or you want to do like totally the DIY?
Sort of. Bobby.
Yeah.
This is Bobby. I think we would never turn down a conversation for sure, but it's not at the top of our priority list. Our priority right now is touring and fan base and, connecting with people directly. I think it's a different age of music, but it's a cool age of music where we can connect with people online and directly get and grow everything ourselves as much as possible. And if that conversation with label comes at any point in that, we'll have it. And if it's a good conversation, we're not turning anything down. But our priority right now is definitely live shows and touring.
Kenny, is there anything before we wrap up here, buddy? Is there anything you'd like to add to the what's going on?
If you're first-time listeners, I would say check us out. If you're looking to hear something that's a little bit more gritty in the pop end of things, definitely give us a listen, give us a chance, and I think you won't be disappointed, especially if you come to a show near you. That's it.
Okay. All right, guys. So is the best way for people to kind of stay in touch with what you're doing, is it to go to your website, victorydancemusic.com?
Yeah, I'd say that, or follow us on Instagram.
On Instagram. Okay, that's your preference. Okay. So you guys can
my
go
Victory Dance.
What's the Instagram? What is that? Is it Instagram/Victory Dance?
My Victory Dance. All of our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything's My Victory Dance.
My Victory Dance. All right, cool. All right, guys, thanks a lot for hanging out with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the song is really kick ass, man. That Memphis is a great song. So you guys could, you guys probably have a really good future ahead of you, man. It's really cool. And by the way, where are you guys located out of? Where are you based out of?
New York, New Jersey.
New York and New Jersey area. Okay. All right. All right, gentlemen. Thanks a lot, man. You guys have a great rest of the day. Okay.
You too, man. Thanks a lot.
You too.
All right. Take care now.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. And you guys have been listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, my interview there with the band Victory Dance. There was a little bit of noise there on the line, so let me just give you that information again because I don't want you to miss it. It's victorydancemusic.com, and from there you should be able to navigate to their social media. All their social media is My Victory Dance. So if you go to Instagram, or I believe that's what they prefer, you go to My Victory Dance, you can check them out. And the single is Memphis. It's a great song. You guys will really enjoy it. We will definitely get it on the air. Thanks once again to our sponsor, Positively Pittsburgh Live, pplmag.com. And if you love great independent music and you want to find a way to get involved and support it, go to supportindierock.com. Supportindierock.com if you would like to get involved and you like stuff like this and you want to see this music out there and being promoted. That's where you want to go, supportindierock.com. Remember, LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com is where you can hear a new music podcast every Saturday and a new interview every Wednesday. My name is Lou Lombardi. Once again, that is LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com, and we'll catch you guys on the next podcast.